Hey guys, as well, I hope you know by now, but my name is Callie Horner, and when I thought about what I wanted to say to you guys tonight, I kept coming back to one question, and that question was, if I could go back in time and tell a younger version of myself anything, what would I want to say? And I came up with 5 answers to that question, but I want to be clear that even though I'm offering these things up as suggestions and advice, I haven't perfected or mastered these things in my own life. But bottom line is, I think it's just important that we strive to live out these 5 things. So point number 1 I want to make is, if you really want to meet Jesus, get to know the people he created. My favorite Bible story is not the most common scripture, but it reinforces this idea. So my favorite Bible story is the story of Mary and Martha. And if you haven't heard it, it goes like this. So Jesus is walking in a village, and Mary and Martha invite him into their home. And so Martha immediately becomes distracted by the preparation she needs to make for a man like Jesus to walk into her threshold. And I get Martha, I empathize with her and her character in the story, because it's easy to get distracted by how holy of a man Jesus is. And so to serve him, she starts running around her house and cooking and cleaning. And like I said, I relate to it, because if Jesus was to come knock on my door, I can only imagine what I would be doing. I would probably run upstairs and fold my bed, or try to make him a gourmet meal or something really nice. But Mary chooses to do something differently. So Mary decides to just sit at the feet of Jesus and be with Jesus. And so Martha gets very irritated by this, and I understand also why she's irritated, because she feels like the workload's been just put on her back. And so she actually asks Jesus a question. She says, "Lord, don't you care that my sisters left me to serve alone?" And I really want you to hear what Jesus, or how he responded to that question. He told Martha, he says, "Martha, Martha, Mary has chosen what is better, and that will not be taken away from her." So I want you to realize that while there's a time and a place for doing, Jesus commands being. And a lot of times being is the beginning of discipleship. And if you've heard me say it once, I've probably said it 1,000 times, because it's one of my favorite phrases, but view people as an invitation instead of an interruption. And if you even want to take this suggestion a step further, when you send out that invitation to people, don't just stop at being with them. Be eager to listen and learn. Don't just presume you have something to teach. So that's point 1. Point 2 I have is, the best gift you can give someone is to be selfless in your prayer. I remember right after I got my license, I was driving to school one day, and that particular morning, I was listening to Caleb, and there was a man who came on the radio, and he posed a question, and I don't know if I'll ever forget it, because I haven't forgotten it up to this point, but he asked, if Jesus answered all prayers, and really think about this, but if Jesus answered all prayers, would lives other than your own be changed? I don't know about y'all, but a lot of times I've noticed that in my life, when I should be talking to God the most, the trying times, the hard times, it's typically when I talk to God the least. So all I'm saying is, make sure your people are covered in prayer, especially when they fail to cover themselves. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying for you to pray for people to change. I'm saying be selfless enough to intentionally and incessantly converse with your Father about someone else's best interest. I'm talking about praying like their heartaches and their struggles are your own. So that's point 2. Point 3 is, you will be known by your fruit. Never allow the sourness of imperfect people to alter the sweetness of what you're capable of displaying. So with this suggestion, I also have a confession, I guess. I misunderstood something about the Bible for a really long time, and that is, it's the fruit of the Spirit, not the fruits. And what I mean by that is, the fruit of the Spirit is an all or nothing concept. You either long for all of them or you have none of them. Now, I tell you this because when you're living in a world full of people who constantly get things wrong, I think it's a good reminder to have. So next time your sibling is annoying you and your self-control is being tested, or your teacher just cannot explain chemistry and your patience is being tested, remember your love and your peace and your joy and your gentleness and goodness and faithfulness and kindness are also being tested. Personally, knowing that helps me live more like Jesus, because I don't want to sacrifice one at the expense of them all. When I know through Matthew chapter 6, verse 17 that I will be known by my fruit, I cannot afford to get one wrong, because that means I've gotten all of them wrong. And it also reminds me that I can't only embody the ones that come easy to me. I can't only offer up the ones that naturally fit my disposition. So, while he doesn't ask for perfection in this category, he does long for them to all be accounted for. So make sure you're serving fruit instead of fruits. Point 4 I want to make is be living proof of a loving God. If you haven't listened to anything I've said up to this point, please listen to this, because it's probably the most important thing I'm going to say. But loving others it's a non-negotiable when you're a follower of Christ. And so I actually have a quote that I want you to hear, and it says, "Biblical love is not emotions or feelings, but attitudes and actions that seek the best interest of the other person, regardless of how you feel toward them." Now hear me out on this, but you can't claim to love God and not love his people. And at the same time, you can't love his people without loving him. One of my favorite books it has a phrase that says, "The rules for love are simple. It's everybody always, not some people sometimes." Now this is hard, really hard, but I want you to understand that Jesus would never ask you to do something that he wouldn't do himself. And, personally, I can admit that I don't always feel God's love, but his promise to love me does not rest upon my feelings. It rests upon his integrity. So I want you to make sure that your love for others doesn't rest upon your feelings, because if it does, you will fail miserably. I want to challenge you to love people so well that they have to question, if they can love me this much, then how much must my Father love me? If he gave his life to love us, it seems like the least we can do is turn around and give our lives to love others too. Okay, so that's point 4, and then my last point 5, is ensure the enemy knows your name. It's only right that I end with this one, because I think it's the most valuable lesson that I've probably learned in my time here. Last summer when we went to Orange Beach, there was a pastor there, and he gave a really memorable sermon, and he told the story of a little boy and a father, and he told about how the little boy was telling his father to pray that he wouldn't be scared of Satan. And the father was actually a preacher also, and he ended up telling his son, he was like, "I'm sorry, son, but I can't pray that prayer for you." And so the little boy was confused, because he was like, 1, you're my father, 2, you're my pastor, isn't that what you're supposed to do? And in response, the father turned around and said, "I can pray something else for you." And he told him that, "I will pray instead that the enemy is scared of you." And so in Acts 19:15 it says, "One day the evil spirit answered them, 'Jesus I know and Paul I know, but who are you?'" So I want to charge you that, when you wake up in the morning and your feet hit the ground, I hope the devil starts shaking because you're up. I want him to not only just know your name, but know your full name. And I want it to be because every day that you wake up, you choose to build God's kingdom more than your own. So that's all I've got. But just to wrap up, suggestion number 1, if you really want to meet Jesus, start by getting to know the people he created. Suggestion number 2, the best gift you can give someone is to be selfless in your prayers. Suggestion 3 is make sure you're serving fruit instead of fruits. And 4, be living proof of a loving God. And then 5, ensure the enemy knows your name.
Hey, it's Glenn and Callie here, and we're social distancing with our masks on. Don't you love your Northside mask?
Of course I do. My favorite mask I own.
Your favorite? Dude, I've collected like a dozen masks now. It's crazy.
Yeah, I have like 3 or 4.
It's amazing how, but it's kind of become a thing now too.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you healthy?
I am healthy.
All right. I'm going to take my mask off if you want to take yours off. Plus, that allows you to hear us a lot better. See what I mean? So, we're here with Callie. Callie, tell us where you're graduating from and where you plan to go to school to as a freshman.
So, I just graduated from South Gibson County High School. I think that's the first time someone's asked me that, and I've gotten to answer in that way. So,
that's
proud
cool.
moment. But and then this fall, I plan to attend Lipscomb University to major in English with hopes of becoming a high school English teacher.
Whoa. Wow. Well, that'll be good. So now I have to concentrate about what I'm saying, or else she's gonna be like criticizing me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Well, so you're gonna be a high school English teacher. That's gonna be exciting. So just kind of keep the family business going.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. You did an excellent talk about looking back. I mean, it reminded me of a couple of country songs because I listen to a lot of country songs, like Garth Brooks' Unanswered Prayers and Brad Paisley's Letters to Me, you know, stuff like that. How do you plan to talk to your grandchildren or your children about a year of COVID and of protests and riots and murder hornets and everything else? How do you explain it? How do you plan to look back when they say, "Weren't you alive in Mama 2020? How was it back then when you had Facebook and stuff?" How do you plan to explain any of this?
Well, it's funny you asked that because this year I had a really good friend at school. Her name was Morgan, and she decided to just make a movie out of me. It was a joke, but the entire year, there's videos of me doing random things. I mean, and now looking back on it, I'm so glad she did that because there's so many bittersweet moments, like my last day of high school, and I didn't even know, even the announcement coming over the school, we were going to be out for the virus, all that's on there. And so also I had an English assignment this year where I had to write a 30-page journal. Aww. And so I don't necessarily have to remember all of this to tell my grandkids, but they're going to have a movie in my journal to get first person,
wow,
front row
that's pretty impressive. Yeah.
So.
Pretty great. So, but it's been an uneventful. I mean, very eventful.
Very eventful.
Senior year.
Lots of juicy stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean it's been a little bit crazy. Well, one of the really great things about your senior year is, well, it was great, but it was also kind of sad. Is there is no doubt if the Hall of Fame out here is ever built for Purple Penguin basketball, you're going to be in it. You'll be in the starting five of Purple Penguin basketball legendary team. So how was it being a Purple Penguin for all those years and getting so close to?
Yeah, it was really fun. At the end of the day, those are some of my favorite memories looking back on my time here. But man, we came so close, so many times.
I know, it's just
so many times.
Just was so frustrating, but also a lot of fun. So being a Purple Penguin is a great thing. So it's kind of a fun thing. So just kind of summing up your life and student ministries here at Northside, and what are some of, besides Purple Penguins and some of that stuff, and you mentioned the trip to the coast to last year for summer camp, what are some of the other just really cool memories and stuff that you will take from this place?
A lot of the trips, those are all, Texas was really fun.
Yeah.
Of course, all the youth musicals that I've been involved in, Construction.
Yeah, Construction.
I think those are probably things I'll remember the most. Lock-ins, different things like that. So I don't think I could ever just pick one favorite memory, but there have been lots of good ones.
Yeah, and there is no doubt that she has been our construction queen for the last couple of years. So someone's got to grab that baton out there and make it happen again for this next year, because she's going to be at Lipscomb, grading papers or something like that. So, it'd be a great, get her a bunch of red pens so she can bleed on people's papers somewhere down the road. Do they even do that anymore, or do they just send you bad comments on your emails that you send?
Yeah, it's most papers now are submitted electronically, so it's just comments that you have to fix or whatever.
So they do it like a PDF or Google Docs or something?
Right, through Google Docs or Word or something.
Man, I used to always hate getting back papers because it just, you literally felt like red ink everywhere. And I think now they use blue a lot too, so I don't know. Well, it has been a pleasure. Every moment with Callie has been incredible. So we just thank her so much for all the work that she's done with us here and through us. I mean, Callie also served. We had Jenny last week, and Callie served as a confirmation intern. I can't even think of the name. So a confirmation intern. How was that? I mean, I don't want to let that not be mentioned. How was doing that?
It's a blessing to go through that class at such a young age, but I think it's an even greater blessing to get to sit through it again when you're older. And so I think it's just in that class, it's such foundational teaching And so I think it's important to learn those things, and like I said, to have the opportunity to go through it twice was really cool. And then I enjoyed getting to know, the kids in this year's class, and I'm looking forward to watching them grow and change through middle and high school. And it was a blessing.
Well, Lipscomb's not far up the road, so
Not too far.
no excuses to not come back and see us every once in a while, and come back and cheer on those sixth graders, which are now like seventh graders. And I want to tell you the truth. I saw one of them. I haven't seen a lot of the youth in like 12 weeks, 13 weeks. Some of them.
Yeah.
Y'all, some of them are literally taller than I am, or as tall as I am right now. It blew me away. I mean, actually, a few of them are way taller than I was. Anyways, but some of these I've not seen. Them were like down here, and now they're like way up here. Totally messes with me because you're like, I know we may not even see some of these guys until through the summer, and they always grow in the summer. So it's a wild year when people grow more giant than you. So it's kind of crazy. But again, it's been a blessing to have Callie with us, and thank you for an excellent talk. And we look forward to seeing what all God does in your life. And she'll use all these really wonderful words and commas and exclamation points and periods and semicolons in some really special ways. So thank you, Callie.
Thank you all.